Pump up the volume on your parenting with Parent Pump Radio. Tune into something different that makes a difference. At Parent Pump Radio, instead of a ripple, we choose to create a splash. Get energized, get inspired, and get informed with how to parent in the new millennium. With your host and parent coach super guide, Jacqueline T.D. Huynh.
Hi, this is Jacqueline T.D. Huynh. We're here to pump up your parenting skills, pump up your energy, pump up your knowledge. Welcome to Parent Pump Radio. Our show is available on iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher. Be sure to subscribe to our RSS feed so you'll be automatically notified for new shows. If you're looking for a speaker for your organization or events, please go to my website at integrativeminds.com to learn more about what I offer and contact me at info@integrativeminds.com to schedule a meeting time. The information is in the show notes. Our theme for 2019 on Parent Pump Radio is geared to help families learn, act, and implement strategies to become financially free. Our guest today taught business studies successfully in the UK to the high school and junior college students for 12 years. In that time, he ran his own department, wrote articles for a number of publications, had a teaching resource published in the UK, and has mentored trainee teachers. After talking the talk for so many years in the classroom, he finally decided to leave teaching and walk the walk. His educational business, Cash Crunch Games, addresses the financial illiteracy problem through gamification. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce you to Paul Vasey. Hi, Paul.
Hey, Jacqueline. How are you doing?
I'm doing awesome.
I sounded awesome in that bio, by the way. I thought, wow. I did all that.
Yeah. We forget how much we accomplished.
Yes, it is amazing. Actually, you're always looking forward and never back. So you forget what you've done, I guess.
Yeah. If you had to sit down and write out all the things you've done, I think we realize how many pages of our resume would be.
Yeah, no, it's crazy, isn't it? It's absolutely crazy.
Yeah. So now you started in the UK and now you're in the US. What happened?
So I was a school teacher in the UK for 12 years and thoroughly enjoyed my teaching. And then I married my childhood sweetheart. And I moved to California, and I've been here 7 years, just gone 7 years now. Went through the whole process of, we got married, green card, American citizen now. So I am an American citizen. And I have basically gone through the whole process of, I didn't go back into the teaching world, but I decided to set up my own business and do what skills I had from the classroom, and realize that, let's address financial literacy through games from what I had learned in the classroom. So that's what I'm doing now. So Cash Crunch Games and games in the classroom.
Yeah, we're going to talk about your game in a little bit. I want to address what did you learn in terms of trying to teach students effectively about finances?
First of all, you've got probably 30 students in a class, all of different abilities and different interests, and different learning styles and different learning speeds. So you've only got an hour to teach a child a certain amount of things per lesson. So you got to find the best way to do it. And one of the ways that I figured out was to make a child an expert. If you make a child an expert, they will engage and talk. So you make the whole thing about them. But, textbooks have always been a way of being used and everything else. And, now that kids are using tablets and using, computers and everything else, they're hungry for not just the tablet and the textbook, but they're hungry to do things in different ways. The days when back in the day, going back with my childhood sweetheart, we used to write by pen, letters, snail mail, and every 5 days you write a letter, it take 5 days, and then you should read it 5 days back. So there's a turnaround of writing a letter every 10 days in essence. But now it's an email, it's instant, and we want things instantly, and also in a classroom, if we don't understand something instantly, we dismiss it rather than persevering, going, we're going to do. So there's ways you've got to you've got to engage and get them talking so they have the way to figure things out themselves. So with financial literacy, there's a number of things. We're not allowed to talk about money and all that, but in the classroom, generally they're intimidated because it's math. They go, oh, money is math and I can't do it. And I found this on numerous occasions where I had these kids that they were phenomenal. They would play, we would talk about marketing and human resources and all those things. But then you came and say, right, today, kids, we're going to do about finance. Can't do it. We didn't even talk about anything in finance and what it was in business finance or personal finance. They just said, they heard the word finance. It's like vegetables for kids. I don't like them. I'm not having them. Brussels sprouts, I'm not having them. Finance, I can't do it. And in the end, I realized that there's got to be something better than this. And I created a game. I basically took a Monopoly board and I changed the board for businesses as opposed to properties. A goldsmith, a car dealership, a hot dog stand, all those things. And then they had to buy it, and then they had to pay cost of goods, and then they had to pay tax and all that kind of stuff. So I played this with the kids. I just gave it to them. I said, these are the rules, play it. And for these kids who they said they couldn't do math, they were buying these properties. And one kid said, I can't afford this property. Who's going in with me on a partnership? Oh, I will. And then they were saying, right, well, how much money have you put in? Well, you haven't put in 50%. You put in 30%. So 70% of the revenue is mine and the costs are mine. 30% is yours. And they were doing fractions and they were talking about this and they're working all. I thought, right, boys, you said you don't know anything about finance, but what are you doing?
Yeah.
How many customers do you need to cover your costs? Oh, and they knew it all. And what I realized was it was just a way of asking the question differently and putting it into their perspective. So they'd had the experiential learning, they played the game, they understood the game without knowing what all the terms are. And then you asked a question based around what they'd been doing and they could answer you. In fact, you couldn't shut them up. They wanted to tell you more and more and more because they had actually became an expert in the game. So, it worked really well.
So it's just the words we're using that kind of scares the kids and probably us too, right? As an adult, I'm like, finance, I don't know anything about finance, but you ask me about money and business, then that's more understandable.
Well, I mean, if you say what's an APR, but that's nothing, is it? Well, how much interest do you get charged with? Oh, right, yeah, I understand. What's a mortgage? Oh, that's a long-term loan. Oh, right, yeah, it's the words, I think. And sometimes the calculations, they try to get them so, that, again, math, they don't understand it all. And we're so quick to teach them, you need to know this percentage. But if they understood what it actually means.
The why behind it.
So right now, there's all these financial literacy quizzes and people go around and they say, oh, you only 40% understand financial literacy. It's because of the words they're using. If you say, well, do you know what a mutual fund is? No. Do you know what an annuity is? No. Do you know do you know how to save money? Do you know what savings is? Yes. Well, do you think there are different types of savings plans that are there low, medium, high? Yes, there are. Why would that be? If you ask the question differently, got away from all these buzzwords.
Yeah.
You actually know more than you realize. And then that's just what we do through games. You just saying, get into it, deal with it. And then you figure it out, bring it down to a basic level. So if you had that same survey and you went into an elementary school and you asked an elementary school kid, do you know what an annuity is? They're going to say no. But if you change the way you ask that question with different words, they're going to go, well, okay, I get that because I have a piggy bank and I put a quarter away a week.
Yeah.
They'll go, yes. Then, so in essence, they understand the principle. And that's what drives me crazy when I hear all this. I'm thinking, you're just not asking the right question. What they don't know is when you're saying about the value of money and how to manage your money. No, they don't know how to deal with that because they don't understand the value of money. The fact that you don't live within your means and you don't understand that it takes you so much time to earn that money to spend it. That's the bit they don't understand. But if you actually just change the wording of the financial literacy quiz, and you did it to elementary school, they'd understand it and the stats would go right up.
Let's talk about money then. What ways can we teach our kids about money?
There are so many ways to teach about money. I mean, if they give them an allowance, they actually have to work for their allowance to get that. So now they're learning the value that if I don't work and do my chores, I don't get the money. You can be in a grocery store and you can say right now, pay the cashier, check the change. You can walk around and say, right, how much is the gas price here? We're gonna put about 12 gallons in our car. How much do you think it's gonna cost? You drive past another one. How much difference do you think it would have cost us if we had filled up there than here? You go back in the supermarket again and you say, right, that's $10 and it's 40% off. What's the cost going to be? Everywhere you look, there's so many ways you can teach about money, and it's basic math without them realizing it. And, so even with coupons, 3 for 2s and 2 for 1s, you could even go on the value of when you're buying ketchup, and when you go to the shelf and it says how much for different sizes
per ounces, right?
Per ounces. So now you're getting them to look at that. You can even say to them, right, we're having dinner tonight. You've got $30. Go and find something for $30. Then you can turn around to them and say, right, we're going to do the same dinner tonight, but for $15. What do they do? So there's so many things that you can do without actually thinking of it. Yes, we're having a lesson on money today. That can be put in vicariously through you. Just even when you're driving along the road and you're going, we've got half a tank of fuel. It's 150 miles. It's 70 miles to Los Angeles. What are we going to use? And then they'll go, oh, okay. And they can figure that out. So there's so many ways you can teach.
That's a really good idea.
Yeah.
Those are some excellent idea. A lot of kids don't even know how much a box of cereal costs.
Yeah.
And so they don't know what's to compare with, but maybe we start teaching them, oh, this is how much Cheerios cost or honey, and then they get to know it.
Well, I mean, that's the thing is, say you're going to do the weekly shop. I mean, in my household, I do the weekly shop. So I know the prices of, you walking by.
Salmon.
Whatever. I know what's on special. And I know what's a good price and what's a bad price just by going regularly. But then you also know that by doing that, how much you're going to spend. What your groceries are going to cost, and what's a good price and a bad price. And then you think, well, that's really expensive this week. Instead of buying beef, I'm going to buy chicken, or I'm going to buy fish, or, oh, there's a special on this. I'm going to buy this. And I can maybe have 2 of those and not have that. Once you learn the value, and I will guarantee you this, you take kids in there and you say to them, right, I want you to get me the vegetables, or I want you to get this for me. Get the milk for me. They will remember the prices. I can guarantee you. So when you go next week and say, right, we need some carrots, they'll go, whoa, hang on. Carrots are expensive this week. Let's look at something else. They will know that and they will remember that.
Yeah. So once they understand the value of how much something costs with their money, then they are able to make those smarter choices.
Oh, absolutely. And again, that goes back to life. So later on, when you're going shopping and you're going to buy those pair of jeans, or you're looking for a flight, or you're looking for a hotel room or something like that, you're not just looking at the hotel room for the price, but you're also maybe looking at the location, but then you're looking at the facilities at the hotel and how far you are away from everything. So that you can do. So next time you're going away on holiday, or you're going away on a business trip, or, even if you can say, well, where should we stay? But let's look at how much it's going to cost, and get them drawing all that up. So then they can figure out what's the best value for the family.
And so there's probably different age, different games that you can play.
For sure.
How young do you think we can start talking about it?
The moment they want something. If you think about it,
I think a 2-year-old starts. Yeah.
Yeah. So when 2-year-olds, and they go, give me, and then you say, well, but then this goes into the parents, and you go, well, okay, you can have that, but you can't have anything else. The moment you go, give me, and then you'll give. They've not learned anything. They just know that they can put their hand out, and you'll give in to them, and you'll give them whatever they want. So where's the value in that? There's no holding it. I mean, you go back to principle. If you value something, you will look after it. So if you have a bag of candy, one bag of candy, and you know you've only got that for the whole day, and you got nothing else. Or let's even a more cruder example. You're going hiking, and I give you one bottle of water, and you've got 10 miles to walk, and you know you've got 10 miles to walk, and you've only got that one bottle. Are you just going to drink it all straight away, or are you going to use it sparingly so you got something, so you have some at the end?
Use it sparingly.
Right. If you use that principle with money, it's the same thing, right? So with kids, if you do that with an allowance, say, this is all you got, and it's tough love. If they spend it all straight away and they want more, no more. Next time, they'll think twice about what they're spending and think about how far this money can go. So again, it's the moment they want something, you can start talking about money with them.
Saying this for this, like...
Yep. You
just
can
like
have
as
this
if
or
you were
this.
buying, right? It's exchange of energy, because that's all money is. It's just an energy. So if you want this, then you got to exchange it for some other form of energy that's the equal in value.
Exactly. You can have this, but you can't have that. Which one do you want? And there's no more. And that's when the parent has to come in and be strong and go, I love you, but you're not, because that is probably one of the most powerful lessons you can do for a child early on, is teaching the value of something early on, because that will stay with them for the rest of their lives.
That's excellent. How did you get into gaming? I want you tell us the bridge that went from teaching to gaming.
So I was a school teacher for 12 years, and I was inside the classroom. And one of the ways I didn't always teach traditional ways. I very rarely used a textbook. I would do it through conversation, and then we'd learn the understanding, and then we'd put the key words in. But I always did a lot of activities, whether it was a communication game, or it was a drawing game, or it was always something. And I realized that kids always remembered certain activities over certain lessons. I mean, I could tell you a little story, or I could get you to read something, and then I'll ask you a week later, which one did you remember? So with that, I then got into games with we played Monopoly and Payday in the classroom and all those, and little card games. And I started making my own, and the kids really enjoyed them. And I guess that's where I jumped to when I realized with financial literacy and the math and everything else, was that here's an issue that needs to be fixed. Instead of having a textbook or parents talking to kids, what I want to do is I want to make them an expert and let them figure it out for themselves. So they figured it out through the school of hard knocks. They lose the game or they win the game. They figured out what works for them. Now we can talk about it because they have experience behind them to actually talk and make relevant points. So that's how I basically got into games. And I'm quite a creative person, so I really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
And my wife said to me, look, this is your passion. There's a big need for financial literacy. Why don't you just stick at it? And I was like, that's good for me. So my beautiful wife has actually helped this. Otherwise, I'd be back in the classroom or I don't know what I would be doing, to be honest. So this is...
Tell us what makes your game different and why it's so much more effective.
One of my games, my board game, junior board game, I took the principles of what they needed to learn. There was no bias in terms of, well, I'm a company and I have a savings plan, and therefore, I'm going to talk all about my savings plan. I thought, no, these kids need to learn the basics. So right now, there's a lot of games out there like Monopoly and Cash Flow 101, Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Right.
Great game.
Yes.
Game.
Yes.
But if 70% of households live paycheck to paycheck, how is investing relevant to them? How are stocks and shares relevant to them? If they haven't got the money, how are they going to have money to buy shares or get that deposit to buy the house, to make the passive income, to get out of the rat race?
Right.
That's great once you've got money.
Yeah.
So I took the point that, I'm going to get you to the point of being a have-not to become a have. So I'm going to teach you the value of money, to save first. So when you have less money to spend, you make smarter decisions. Meanwhile, the other 20% of your savings or whatever you want to put aside is there accumulating. It's adding up. And at the end of the year, you have enough to do whatever you want with it. So you either invest it, or you buy a building, or you just keep it there for a rainy day and you just put it in a high savings account. Point is, now I'm giving you choices. So I'm changing you from a have not to a have. And that is my pure focus. So I'm a precursor to Monopoly and to Rich Dad, Poor Dad, in that he's doing all that with passive income. I'm just getting them there. So I'm actually helping him because I'm actually getting people to actually have money to be able to do all that. And that's my focus.
With this shutdown that just happened in the United States, we really saw how what you're saying is true, that people do live paycheck to paycheck. After even one paycheck, it affected, they said, in the millions. And now they're saying it could be even in the billions repercussion.
And all it is that when someone gets a pay rise, what do? They go from shopping at TK Maxx and Marshalls, then they go to Navy, then they go to Gap, then they go to Banana Republic, and then they're into the Lacoste and the Gucci's and the Coach. All you're doing is you're either buying something more expensive, or you're taking a bigger subscription, or you're taking another bill out, rather than going, oh, I'm here now, I've got this extra money, let me do something else with it.
Yeah.
So they see their paycheck as the total amount as their budget, and it's a mindset. That's all it is.
It's a consumer mindset, and that's how these big companies has created us, because otherwise they wouldn't be in existence. The car company, you got to have the newest and latest car. The gaming industry, you got to have the new and latest app and gadgets. And so we come to become consumer mindset instead of an investor mindset.
Well, we're taught that everything is on tap. We don't have to wait for anything. We can have it right now. And it's made it so easy for us to get anything we want right now. I mean, it's so easy to get a credit card these days, or a store card these days. And, don't worry about paying it. And also there's the big disconnect between actually using cash and swiping a card. And now it's tap your watch. You see all these apps now where you can actually just use your watch or your phone to pay. So you're not even thinking about, oh, I'm spending money today, because you don't see it till the end of the month. And then you've got the opportunity to pay the minimum amount rather than you need to pay this off right now. And so that becomes a really tough spiral, doesn't it? It's very hard to get out of it. Like you say, we have to have the latest thing because we're a very materialistic world, very, very materialistic, aren't we? So big issue.
And I was talking about all the hoarding. People end up keeping more stuff, right? Like we were talking about investing, and I said the one thing I always wanted to invest in was a storage unit, because they would never run out. No one would ever leave a storage unit because people just like to hoard all these things, consumer mindset.
I'm actually looking at that eventually one day, they're getting a storage unit. I think that's the way to do it, right?
Right. Don't buy homes. So don't invest go invest in storage unit.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so you'll see in the future, instead of like car parking, car parks, multi-story car parks in the city centers for everyone, because we won't have cars. They'll all be storage units, won't they? You can see that in the future.
So I want to tell people tell us how people can get a hold of you.
Yeah, very, very simple. CashCrunchGames.com. We're on Twitter, Cash Crunch Games, Instagram, Facebook, and on the website as well. Oh, and Pinterest too. So just CashCrunchGames.com, and we have an offering of things for 5 to 21-year-olds, so board games and curriculum.
How many board games do you have?
I've got 2 at the moment. Another one probably coming out later this year, and maybe another one the year after.
Are the board games like for a certain age?
Yes, I have one physical board game for ages 5 to 12, and then I have an online game right now which is free to play for 13 and upwards. And then hopefully later on the year or next year we'll have another board game for 13 to 21's, a physical board game
for the teens.
Yeah, and then we also have a careers platform as well. So figuring out what you want to do in life and move forward, so we can then marry money and careers together.
Oh, absolutely, especially for those teens. Mm-hmm. Now they're saying it goes down to even 12-year-olds. Yeah,
well, I mean, the thing is, right now, I mean, we're going off on a tangent, but right now, the The big thing is your child. Yes, my child's going to college. Well, where? They're going to UCI, okay, or USC or UCLA. Right, I've got you there. Now what are you going to do? I don't know. So they end up doing a major or a minor. They change it, which costs thousands of dollars.
Right.
It's textbooks, it's rent because you've got to start again. Then they graduate, still don't know what they want to do. And then they spend the next 5 years hopping from job to job, trying to find a career and a job that they really enjoy. And then they finally settle. Meanwhile, they've got all this debt that they've been amassing because they've been changing the majors and the minors. They've been spending beyond their means. They're not been budgeting. They don't know about cash flow. So teaching all that. And then they're going to try and find a job. And then they're saying, all right, there's this job. It's perfect. But how much does it pay? Not, would I enjoy the job? So now they're choosing a job based on what it pays rather than, hey, we work 50% of our lives or 50 years, right?
Yep.
And I'm not doing something I thoroughly enjoy, so I'm going to be miserable.
Right.
So let's turn it around. Let's figure out what you're good at, who you are, whether you work under pressure or you like working in groups or anything like that. And then let's find something that you could do, that you go through school and college more focused. So then you're more prepared when you get out and you're ready in the career world. You know what you want to do. You've got your resume, your internships, you've had all that done. And now you're a prospect, a better prospect for being recruited and working in a career that you thoroughly enjoy.
I wholeheartedly agree with that. And it should start the end in mind. I always believe in that. Look at the careers and the jobs that you love.
You never design a house, do you? You never build a house and then think, what's it going to look like?
Right, right. Thank you so much for that wisdom.
It's been an absolute pleasure.
Yes, it's been a pleasure. And you can get a hold of Paul at cashcrunchgames.com. It's also in the show notes information. And listeners, the quote for the week is, what you get by achieving your goals is not as important as what you become by achieving your goals. Thank you very much. Have a great week.
Thank you so much for joining us today. Go to parentpumpradio.com and click on the pink box on the top of our homepage to listen to our new and archived shows. To be instantly notified of new episodes, subscribe to our RSS feed. The RSS feed button is located at the top of the page where all our shows are featured. And after listening to the show, go to parentpumpradio.com or our Facebook page to leave your comments, questions, and topic suggestions. And while you're at our website, sign up to receive a free gift. Until next time, have a wonderful week.